So yeah, I jumped on here with my hair looking like whatever, whoever, and who the hell cares. Um, just is what it is. But I haven't done a regular video that I had to edit in quite a while. So I've been doing so many lives. I've been doing a lot of Facebook lives. So, you know, I'm old, so that's where I'm heaviest, where my presence is heaviest, because those are the people that I actually know and have established some sort of relationship with. So I have a tendency to go there. And also, you guys know that I had the Element of Surprise online art sale recently. That went wonderfully. Thank you guys so much. And the next one is Wednesday, December 11th, and it's going to be featuring my work as well as Artwork Kirk. So I'm very, very excited about that. You know, he was my co-host for the first Element of Surprise online art sale. So let's get right into it. So had a very intimate, small turnout of extremely motivated buyers. So the fact that the turnout was small still enabled me to sell a lot of pieces and come away with it, which was much more than I could have ever imagined. So I'm very thankful for that. And, you know, this was my first time making my pieces available for purchase and selling them and also having to ship them. So, you know, I figured it would be some sort of learning curve. And the learning curve that I encountered was thinking that I had done a really outstanding job on packaging everything up to be shipped and then having the very first delivery to the very first buyer arrive in pieces. You can imagine how disappointing that was. So I immediately, you know, contacted the buyer, who is also a very, very close friend. And luckily for me, she was incredibly understanding. She had brought two pieces, both for her, and then one ended up being a gift to her mother. And both of the pieces, one arrived to her residence, and then the other one was sent directly to her mom. And unfortunately, that did not survive the shipping either. So again, those two pieces. So the first thing, of course, I did, because as important as it is for you guys to have my art, love my art, appreciate my art, and buy my art, it is even more important, or at least just as important, for you guys to have a really wonderful experience throughout the acquisition process. Customer service is very important to me. As an artist, I know that a lot of people are hesitant about sending their money to artists because some of them can be flaky. They don't follow through on delivery dates or promised time frames and all types of stuff that can make the experience not really cool. Yeah, you got the art, but you'll probably never try to get another piece from them because you had to hunt them down, or you had to ask them, hey, what's going on? Hey, did my piece ship out? All these, you know, different questions you have. And rightfully so. After you've paid your money, you deserve to know every step of the way how things are going. So that's important to me. And I've created and established a reputation for making sure that I keep in really great communication with the people who support me. So I was really excited about them getting their pieces, and it was very disappointing. But I realized that sometimes you can't know what you don't know. And like I said, I thought that I had done a great job packaging everything, but I have since learned that I need to do more, and it's a lot more, and I've prepared myself for that. So everyone who I was in fear of, because that was, again, the first shipment, so there were several more that I was still waiting for to arrive, and I was just like, oh my God, what if everything arrives broken? So the first thing I did was offered an immediate full refund. She refused that. I offered to remake the piece as close as possible as I could to the vibe of the original piece. She tried to refuse that, but that I definitely wasn't having. Okay, you might not need or want the refund, and that's cool, but what you cannot have is a taped together piece of mine on your mantle or on display. So what I'm working on right now is another rendition of A Vessel Goddess, because she received the original, of course, damaged, and what I immediately did was started on the replacement piece. And her mother's piece is going to be replaced also. So at this stage, I'm nearing completion. So I've hollowed her out. The head has been hollowed out, so I took this top portion off, hollowed it out. The torso has been hollowed out. I put a split down right here, pulled that off and hollowed it out. And right here at the posterior, I put the wire underneath this opening, in this opening, and pulled straight up, and then I popped her butt off and hollowed her out. And the vessel doesn't need to be hollowed out, it just needs to be refined and cleaned up a little bit more. And I said that for these next few pieces, I was going to really challenge myself to refine these pieces more than I normally do. Because while I'm fond of a rougher, more archaeological, unfinished look, I have to make sure that that's a choice and not a very convenient excuse for not taking the time and not wanting to commit to the refinement process, which is interesting in its own way. But once you're ready to move on to your next piece, that refinement process can be tedious. So with the person I am, I wasn't sure. I'm like, do you really like it unfinished? Or do you really like not committing to what it takes to finish it? So I told myself that for at least the next 3 or 4 pieces, I'm going to refine to within an inch of their lives and make sure it's polished and nearly porcelain looking with the finish. So right now, because I've hollowed her out, I'm able to go in and just take my time and smooth and refine. Now, officially, this will be the 3rd piece that I'm taking that type of time with. The other were 2 pendants that are going to be necklaces as soon as they make it out of the kiln. And then this is the first mid-sized sculpture that I'm giving that sort of attention to. So I'm just letting you guys hang with me while I refine this and while I take my time and force myself to be more patient than I normally have to, because the goal has never been completely polished, but that is the goal now. Sorry guys, I get quiet when it's a part that requires a little more of my focus than when I'm running my mouth. So this is going to be a very uninteresting process for you to watch. Of course, it'll be sped up considerably by the time I edit it, but many of the transitions and transformations that will be happening right now are going to be so subtle, and you won't really see any of this in a meaningful way until I'm done and I've sprayed it down with water and then I've really smoothed everything. Right now I have to use an incredibly gentle touch with this tool to get rid of ridges and unevenness. And I'll be using another tool also to pat her down and refine even more. I'm working in some very delicate areas regarding her neck because her head was joined onto her neck area. So I have to brace it when I'm working in this area just to make sure that I'm not rocking her back and forth unnecessarily in a way that's going to cause this to be vulnerable and separate or crack, or worse yet, at this stage, it would be very possible for me to rock her too far forward and pop her head right off. So you have to be really cognizant of all of that. You have to remember where you join the things, where you need to use a lighter touch, when you need to be more delicate than you've been being, and just pay attention to that in order to have your sculpture come out in one piece the way you need it to. And again, like I've told you, just like I was told, you can't fall in love with anything until it comes out of the kiln. Because you can do all of this and try to be perfect in every way imaginable, and you've left an air pocket, or you haven't ventilated your piece enough, and the next thing you know, it's exploded in the kiln. So it is definitely about exercising patience and being aware of what you're doing. This is not a process to rush. Then she has to be left to dry, and even though I've hollowed her out very well, she's definitely going to dry for at least a month and a half. It's more than likely going to be 2 months because of who I am and because I would just feel much more comfortable just having that extra time. So you've got to really take your time with your sculptures. And I consider myself, I think that I'm somewhat on the fast side when it comes to building, but I'm not really sure. Because I definitely know of one sculptor in particular that I've heard about will knock out a large sculpture, large and intricate, in like a day. I'm not at that level, but I imagine I will be at some point. And the reason, or in some instances, and the reason it won't be consistent is because I don't have common sense. So I have a tendency to approach things the hard way, and I'll be doing it that way for a while before something suddenly clicks in me and goes, "Why are you doing that? You should probably just," and then that probably just is where I go, "What is wrong with you? Why, when they were giving out common sense, did you get out of the line? What you do? What you went to go get a smoothie? You should have stayed in that line, girl, because you make life difficult, more difficult than it has to be." And again, I cannot thank you guys enough for buying so many things off of my Amazon wish list. It was a pottery supplies wish list for my birthday back in April. So many of you got me so many wonderful things. And two of the things, which are the exact same items that I cherish the most, are my turntable. So this is the raw metal turntable that I work on. And this is an everyday staple for me. Like, the fact that I was sculpting without it prior is fascinating. But sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So I was making do. But with a piece like this, where you're refining so much and there's so many intricate little areas, the turntable is your best friend, because you get to really see it from so many different vantage points and make corrections and make revisions that would have been a lot more difficult if you were just trying to turn it yourself every few minutes. Here, I'm turning and examining every few seconds, and it makes a difference. It makes quite a difference. So this is me still refining her arms, using this tool with a very feather-light touch to get some of those ridges out and certain imperfections that probably wouldn't look like imperfections to anyone else but me, but I see them. I'm aware of them. And you have your own standards for your art, you know, where somebody can look at it and say, "That looks absolutely perfect. These flaws that you're talking about, they're in your mind." Well, but that's the mind that counts the most during the making, you know. Who appreciates it is an afterthought, you know, that comes after. But when you're working on it, you know what you want it to be. In some instances, a lot of sculptors believe the clay is telling you what it wants to be and what it doesn't want to do. So whatever school of thought you rock with, one thing is for certain. You know if you did yourself proud or not. You feel me? So my goal is to do myself proud. And then when someone appreciates that effort, well, that's just the icing on the cake. But make no mistakes about it. The recipe, the mixing bowl, the oven, everything that goes into making the cake and being satisfied with the cake is all for me. I get a chance to be very, very selfish, which is my nature anyway, so it all works out. Another gift that you see me using all the time is my apron. Got it on right now. I've got two of them. I've got this extra, extra, extra large one that fits my 3XL frame. And then I've got another smaller one that's black that I don't use very often. Not because it's smaller and because it gives me issues with wearing. It fits fine. It's just that it's black. And every time I get it dusty, I want to see it all clean again. And for some reason, I don't worry about this brown one in the same way. It gets dusty and it's like, oh well, that's your job. That's what you're there for. And I'm fine. But that black one, I'd be like, oh, I hate to see you not looking pristine for some reason. I don't know why that is. Maybe because black is my favorite color. Who knows? Trying to get this light right. I don't know why this light keeps changing to a sepia tone. It's strange. The light in the living room is remaining the same, but I don't know. It has something to do, I guess, maybe with the video settings or something. It throws me off when I look up, but I am a natural born mouth breather. I have to remind myself to close my mouth while I'm doing this. Especially once I start getting focused and getting into certain areas, I'm like, So what I'm doing now is using this tool, which is like a small spoon. You see there's a very light concave to it. And I am tapping the clay, which is helping to compact it at least a little. I'm tapping the clay smooth. Any ridges or areas I see that are imperfect, I'm tapping those areas out. So that hopefully if I do this correctly and take my time and really allow patience to guide me, it's going to be so polished that all I'll need to do is just spritz it with water and it will look just nearly flawless. But that takes time. And again, sorry because I know this is a long, boring video for you guys, but these are the steps that are going to be necessary for some of your pieces when you want to achieve a very specific finish and look. I probably should have shown you it before so you can see how dramatic the difference is. Let me turn the light away. You can almost see there's a sheen to this area because it's been polished and compacted so well, and there's a roughness to this posterior. You see how much duller it looks? You go from here to here, see the dullness. Here to here, you see the shine. And that's, I think they call it a burnished effect when that happens, where it's so smooth that it just creates its own sort of shine. And even as I'm doing this light tapping, I'm thinking about the structure of my piece. And one of the things that I'm thinking about right now is that these arms were joined. So I'm tapping I'm tapping this arm against her body. I'm not tapping it this way. I'm not tapping it this way. I'm tapping into instead of, because that's a joined area. And even though it looks seamless to me and it looks like it's well joined, it may not be. And if I'm disturbing the clay underneath and not going in the direction to keep that flow, I could be separating particles of the clay and promoting a crack appearing, or that joint, that connection becoming far less stable than it was, all because I'm not thinking of how did you construct this? What moves did you make? What areas did you join together that deserve your focus so that you don't do anything internally that you're not going to be aware of externally because, you know, on the outside it looks great to you. So your touch has to be gentle. And when you cannot propel your tool in the direction of that joint, like right now, it's impossible for me to do that, but I want this area smooth. So you just realize you have to tap light. No pressure, no real pressure. And you're going to have to do that several times over because of where this area is placed and because of how you joined this. So there are going to be areas that take a lot more time than you may have planned for. But you better plan. Sometimes it's going to call on you to switch tools. If you're a disciplined artist and you clean up your tools, oh, that killed me, that little squeak. That's great. I am not disciplined in that way. I usually end up waiting until I need to use them. Yo, my attention span is usually never this long. I've been working for an hour and 31 minutes, and we are just about done with the Vessel Goddess. Her detailing has to be added to her dress. I can't really shake out all of the stuff that has fallen inside of the vessel. I'm gonna have to figure out how to gently scoop everything out, and it's probably gonna be with, the loop tool, and I'm just gonna have to sort of sweep and see what I can get to come up and over, like I'm doing right now. Because sometimes as you think of things to do, you want to try them and see, are they gonna work? So I'm using this to sort of sweep it and nudge all of the debris that has fallen into the vessel sort of into one area, and then I'll use a tool that's built like a ladle, one of the two, and scoop it out. Use it like a spoon and just sort of dig this stuff out. I've managed to sweep some of the debris out. I have to be careful because I'm around these delicate little arms, and you don't want to accidentally nudge those the wrong way and create a crack. They're not hollowed out. Those two coils are pretty much, intact. So you have to be mindful of that. I've got to go in with another tool and get rid of a little indented area that's bothering me. I couldn't see it when the light was brighter, but I'm able to see it now. And this is a very sharp scraping tool, so I don't have to apply very much pressure at all to get the results that I want, and that's good. And, sometimes you have to see these things in different lighting scenarios in order to cast light in areas and see where there are unwanted indentations and dips and whatever that you couldn't see when the light was shining directly onto it. And it ends up being, this piece ended up being intricate because of the position of the arms, the way it's going over the vessel. And it's a little awkward for me to have to reach in, but that's what it was the first time. So, I pretty much knew what to expect. And because I was creating it in a way to maintain that vibe and look, no surprises here, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a tough one, but it wasn't as tough as the first time I built it. So that's great, because, that means that I learned something during the building, or even subconsciously or unconsciously approached it in a way that I didn't the first time. That's why I was able to get the foundation locked in so quickly, And your evolution is not just about the aesthetics of your piece and what it turns out to be. Your evolution is also about your approach and what techniques you end up employing to get to a desired finish. Scraping out some ridges right now that occurred on the outside. Holding the tool very loosely so as not to dig and accidentally gouge. So in order to hold the tool loosely and not give in to an inclination to, go forward too hard, you hold it far back, and then that's going to do what you need. Keep banging my leg into the table. And now I'm just going in with the tool and sort of flattening it out, polishing the outside, trying to achieve as much of a burnished finish as I can. I definitely feel myself getting tired, so it's time to stop, because one thing I know is I'm like a toddler when I get tired. I get mad clumsy, and then I will have done something or made a move that will jeopardize this whole piece just out of clumsiness. Like, I might go to reach for something and I won't reach high enough in the way that when I was alert, and I reach instead, sort of miss my mark, and bang into her head, now her head falls off. So, listen to yourself as a creator. When you've given your piece all that you can give it for this moment, even though you may be obsessed with finishing, even though you may have certain deadlines to meet. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not to be confused with commissioned deadlines, because those are a serious thing, okay? And that's why I always say pad your time. If you know you Speedy Gonzalez and you can finish something in 2 days, don't tell your client 2 days, because life be lifing and it will surprise you. Tell that client they'll have it in 2 weeks. And then this way, if life doesn't life in a way that throws you off your square, knocks you off of your square, then you told them 2 weeks and you stick to your natural standard and you deliver it in 2 days, oh my God, you're a superhero in their eyes. However, if you tell them a solid 2 days and now it's been 2 weeks and 2 weeks has turned into a month, now you're just a messy ass artist with bad business practices that ends up, whether you want to admit it or not, reflecting on all of your peers. And we have to work hard to convince people that, no, really, I'm not like that. So when you don't have a commission deadline, something where you've accepted money, or, you know, even if it's not a commission where you accepted money, but you just told an organization, this is when you'll have it. If it's not that sort of scenario, and it's just you being able to build like I am with no pressure, because again, remember, Little Sister wasn't even going to accept this redo. So she's not like, oh, I need to have this back to me, within a month, so within 2 weeks. So when you feel yourself getting tired and you feel like you're pushing a little too hard, slow down, calm down, stop. Listen to your body. Because like I said, I get clumsy. So who will be to blame if I mistakenly move the wrong way and mess up my sculpture when I know how fatigued I feel right now? Me. No one but me. So I'm just going to take her on a spin and show you how she's coming along. And you see, can you see that sheen to her? Really smooth, really, really polished. And I'm not done. I'm not done. But the rest is going to have to wait until tomorrow. Oh, I've got to take a few photos to send Little Sister so that she can know she's coming along just fine. And then I'll be done for the night. I'm going to get some rest. And because I'm aware that I'm fatigued, I'm going to reach around her carefully to stop. Peace.